ILTV Plus, your news from Israel and more 24/7. Start your free trial today. Subscribe at ILTV.tv and watch from any device.
Now, in other Middle East news, in a rare televised appearance over the weekend, the leader of Lebanon's Iranian-backed Hezbollah terrorist organization, Hassan Nasrallah, warned Israel against drilling for oil and gas in the disputed maritime border area between the two countries until an agreement is reached. While this has made headlines, is it really just a distraction from the troubling reality facing Lebanon and the Lebanese people, a country on the verge of collapse? And so joining us now with an analysis is Dr. Mordechai Kedar, Middle East expert and lecturer at Ilan University. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, Lida.
So first of all, why is Nasrallah coming out of his bunker with such a threat now? I mean, why now, and what is the significance of this?
Well, as you might know, Lebanon now deteriorates maybe into another civil war between those who refuse to be controlled by Hezbollah, but have no other choice, and Hezbollah, which maybe wouldn't like to control the whole country, but has no other choice. And this is actually the big game in Lebanon, and especially what we see today, when the judge who is in charge of the investigation of the big blast, which was over the year ago, in the port of Beirut, actually approaches the results, which will incriminate Hezbollah, and Hezbollah doesn't want this judge to deal with this case, while the others who do not want to be controlled by Hezbollah actually want to accept what the judge says, which Hezbollah is in charge of that blast, which cost the lives of like 200 Lebanese, and the injuries of thousands, and the losses of billions in Lebanon, which anyway is in a very bad economic situation. So this is actually the big game in Lebanon, the struggle between Hezbollah, which is the almost only organization which actually functions in Lebanon, and the others who do not want the situation. And of course, Hezbollah tries to push the idea that Israel is in charge of all the problems because of the maritime border. The maritime border is very, very marginal problem now in Lebanon, while the biggest game now in Lebanon is who is in charge of the country, whether it is Hezbollah or the state.
Now, this is something that's been going on for quite some time, this conflict between Hezbollah, Iranian-backed Hezbollah, we should say, and the state. So where is this headed? I mean, do you really see this developing into a full-scale civil war?
Well, this is only one possibility, while there is another possibility, which Israel should be prepared for, is that hundreds of thousands of Lebanese, men and women alike, will start marching to the south in order to get food from Israel, in order to get to drinking water from Israel, in order to get gas from Israel, because everything in Lebanon is deteriorating. And you cannot even find in the pharmacies in Lebanon milk for children, formula for infants or for babies who do not nurse from the mothers. So they need it, the most basic things cannot be found in Lebanon. And this is the issue in Lebanon these days, and not the maritime border with Israel. This is the last thing which bothers the Lebanese these days.
Now, what can Israel do now? I mean, will it protect its borders or help those fleeing from such a terrible reality?
Well, protect borders from thousands of Lebanese will come here to eat. You cannot shoot them. You cannot kill them because they come, to eat and to be treated like human beings. So Israel should definitely be prepared with a lot of food in the north, and to establish some so-called refugee camps or camps for those Lebanese unfortunate people on the Lebanese soil in order to take care of them. Otherwise, they will going to die out of hunger. And this is what Israel should be prepared to do.
A very unfortunate situation. Dr. Mordechai Kedar, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Pleasure.